Hey there, I'm back. Can you hear me? Yeah. So I took a little break off. Took a little break. Yesterday. Because I guess I was kind of celebrating because I celebrating buying a new property. So I celebrated by walking 10 miles. And it actually helped me a lot. I'm a little tired today, but I feel a lot better mentally, I think. And I thought I would talk more about meditation today because I feel like I've actually started to get a grasp on it. Like I've been playing around with it for like years, but I didn't really know what I was doing. But recently I feel like I've gained a grasp on it. Like I actually feel like I am in control of a meditation now. Like I've even gotten to the point where it doesn't take that long for me to fall asleep. So I thought I would share it with you, with whoever is interested. I think the first thing I should talk about is the vagus nerve. Vagus. The vagus nerve is it's a nerve that runs down your I think it's on your spine, but I'm not sure. But yeah, I think it's in the spine. But it's like it runs down from your brain to your body, and it controls your heart, controls the rate at which your heart beats. So it's very useful if you're like, to deal with anxiety, and if you have issues controlling yourself in high stress situations. It basically just comes down to how you breathe, at least for me, how I breathe. I don't know how everybody else's body functions, but I know how my body functions. So basically I control it through my breathing, and I'll breathe in, and then I'll breathe out. And I just hold it there for like a second and a half, and I'll breathe back in. And you just repeat that over and over again. And I think what triggers the vagus nerve is the part where you breathe out and then hold it for like a second and a half. I think that's what's putting pressure on the vagus nerve, and that actually mellows you out. Once you have a grasp on it, once you control it, at least it mellows me out with my body. And because of that, I've been able to fall asleep relatively soon whenever I'm trying to sleep. If I'm working, I work a lot. I work like 45 to 50 hours a week, so sometimes when you're working like that, it puts a lot of strain on your anxiety, And sometimes just to get back into the mode where I don't feel overwhelmed, I do the breathing exercise. I'll put on like some binaural beats. If you've ever heard of those, you can just Google it and it will, something will come up. Just like pick something that, you feel like it's helping you and go to town. Like, what I do is I'll put on the binaural beats and I'll just like sit back, close my eyes, and just start breathing like I just showed you. And it helps me relax and meditate and just feel better than I did when I was stressed out or feeling stressed out. When I was feeling more anxious. I also been doing it before I fight also, because I have a lot of trouble falling asleep the day before I fight. And I know I said last time I barely got any sleep before my last fight, but I actually did sleep 4 hours. And thankfully it was because I was doing this. And it would have been a lot less if I didn't know how to do this, that's for sure. And I feel like I did pretty good. Better than I have before, so. It's important to get as much rest as possible before a fight, so. That's what I did to do it. But yeah. That's what I've been working on. Meditation. And I went out yesterday, walked 10 miles, explored the city I'm in, and oh man, it was crazy. I was walking around at night also. And I saw a crazy thing happen. I saw the police chasing I saw this car like hauling butt right past me, and I was like, wow, that guy is going really fast. Then like maybe not even a minute later, a cop pulls around the corner and goes down the same street. So I think that guy was being pursued. And then after that, another cop comes and follows that cop. So I think I witnessed the chase actually. Which is crazy because the city I lived in before, the police weren't allowed to do that. They weren't allowed to chase people. But I guess they are here. So I just experienced my first police chase that wasn't like on TV. It's pretty nuts. And then while I was walking, I think a group of kids were in their Uber or something. They rolled down the window and they were like, "Hey, what's up, man?" So that was kind of funny. I was like, "Hey, what's up?" But I walked 10 miles at the same, and like 30 minutes. It took me about 3 hours to walk 10 miles, but the last 30 minutes, my what do you call it? My Achilles tendon started to hurt, and I was like, "Oh my god, I think I'm gonna stop for a sec." So I stopped for like 10 minutes, like rested it, but I was just thinking back when that happened. I remember an interview with David Beckham. He said he was running a lot. He was like in a game, and his Achilles tendon just like popped, and yeah, he basically severed his Achilles tendon while he was running. So I thought about that. So 10 miles is a lot to walk, you know, in one day. So I was just like, okay, I think I'm gonna take a rest for a minute. I really don't want that happening to me. But it's crazy when you haven't walked 10 miles in a while. Like your body isn't really used to it. You never know what can happen. Last thing I want is to have some kind of serious injury like that. So I managed to get it done. I rested for like 10 minutes, and then I did the last 30 minutes of walking, and I hate not finishing things, you know, like especially exercise. I don't care if a muscle is sore, I want to finish, you know. Because if you don't finish, you're not satisfied with the workout, you know. At least I'm not. So that's kind of how I feel. I think that's why I never back out of any of my fights either. Like my last fight, I was fighting a guy who was a lot bigger than me. A lot heavier, a little bit heavier. He was like 6 pounds heavier than me, something like that. And I was scared, very scared, but I pushed through it because something about me, I just, you know, when it comes to something like a fight or exercise or something physical, I always have to finish it, you know, just for my own personal satisfaction. I mean, some things I won't finish, like if I'm at a bad gym and I'm being disrespected, that is like a deal breaker. But when it comes to a fight, if I've trained like for months preparing for that fight, and I'm there, and it's like, you know, 2 minutes before I go into the ring, and I'm all taped up and, you know, ready to go, I'm never gonna back out. I'm not that guy. I think it's just kind of in my DNA. I have to prove to myself like that I can do it. And trust me, there's no better feeling afterwards when you've actually gone through it. Because sometimes you'll surprise yourself. I mean, most of the time I surprise myself. Like, for a long time there, I didn't think, you know, you never really think you're strong in the beginning. When you start this journey of martial arts, of competing, you never really think you're that strong. I mean, some people do, you know, some people are delusional and think that they're strong. But me, I've always had, like, you know, I've always underestimated myself. And doing martial arts and kickboxing has kind of shown me that I'm a lot stronger than I am, than I always thought I was. And I think it's that way for a lot of people. So I mean, it doesn't really matter as long if you're training. If you're training hard, it doesn't matter how big you are. It doesn't matter how tall you are. It doesn't matter how naturally strong you are or athletic. The more you learn how to fight, the better trainers you have, the trainers you spend time with those trainers learning valuable things, you're gonna get better, you know? Don't expect to be like the best person in the world, but you know, you're gonna become good eventually, you know? It's one of the only things in this world that I've experienced that actually brings a real feeling of confidence. Like, yeah, you can go to fancy school, get, you know, fancy certifications. That's great and all, but, or what else can you do? You can, play sports, you can, you know, become a quarterback. Yeah, that's cool. You can become a pitcher, you know, whatever sport you're into, but there's always that emptiness. It's not quite the same as fighting. There's a gap that's always empty. But when you start, at least for me, when you start doing martial arts and actually getting in the ring and fighting against people you're scared of and surviving those fights, it fills that gap. That's what I'm trying to say. That confidence gap. It's really a great feeling. I hear like a lot of fighters talk about, getting into the ring is an addiction. It doesn't really help you, you know. It's more of an addiction than anything. It doesn't really do much for your life. Maybe not for them, the people saying that, but it is more important to me than, you know, almost everything. It basically gives my life purpose and meaning. Before I felt lost, before I started fighting, I felt lost. And even if I'm not winning, if I'm training and, you know, at least surviving, finishing, fighting somebody bigger than me and, you know, not getting knocked out, holding my own, then I am actually, you know, in a more confident state than if I won the lottery, than if I became president. It's much more satisfying. I don't care about none of that. I don't care about becoming, you know, the most famous person in the world. All I want to do is get in the ring, fight somebody that I know everybody else is afraid of and that I'm afraid of. Get through it and prove to myself that I could do it. That's the only thing that matters to me. Proving to myself. At the end of the day, all you got is yourself. Nobody is living in your shoes. You're the only one living in your shoes. You're not doing anything for anybody but yourself. Nobody's doing anything for you. So, you gotta do what makes you satisfied, what satisfies your life first. Yeah, I do think it's important to worry about, you know, your loved ones, but you need to do whatever it takes for you to fill that gap. That confidence gap. If you feel that, then I suggest getting into martial arts and competing in the ring. Because if you still feel that gap, that might be the only thing that fills it for you. And that's all I gotta say. I'll see you guys later. Take care.